All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin, and I got my main man, Lyés, here. When this clueless American speaks, you listen. That's what you do. You listen. Lyés, my man, how you doing?
It's been a long time since I've heard that, Miz. It's a pleasure to be back on the show. I was hoping it could be in different circumstances to this, but I'm ready for whatever you have to throw at me.
Bro, I timed it well, haven't I? I've timed it well. As soon as we won the Champions League, that's when I brought you here so I can rub it in your face. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's interesting. I always like to see, opposition fans, rival fans, and get their perspective as to, what their club is up to. And then especially, Man United and Chelsea, it's a good rivalry. Do you know what I mean? Like you guys came second. We came fourth in the Premier League. But obviously then there's the whole European section of things. You guys didn't get the Europa League. We got the Champions League. So it's always interesting to see what happens there. We've got quite a few people already joining in. Smash the like button. And thank you always for your support. Yusuf is here from the beginning. Big up, Mizzy. Thank you so much for that. And then, by the way, is there any Euros match today? By the way, there's France versus Wales and Germany.
France is playing Wales. Benzema actually missed the penalty on his return to the international scene. England is playing. I don't know who they're playing, and then I think Scotland is playing the Dutch.
Are these friendlies or?
Yeah, just friendlies.
Yeah, I thought so because I thought the competition starts
next week.
Next week, 11th June or 12th June or something like that. Man, I feel sorry for these players, man. They just get no break. Like
they're being run ragged.
Bro, literally, they just finished the season like a few days ago. That's pretty insane. Located Line, thanks for joining as well. England versus Austria. All right, fair enough. I mean, it is the friendlies. I mean, I don't really care about friendlies. Let's get straight into this, man. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about. I wanted to the whole show today is really looking at Chelsea and Man United, Thomas Tuchel and Ole Gunnar Solskjær, and basically looking at the contrasting worlds for both these teams. And at the end, we're going to try and sum up who's better placed to basically challenge for the title. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it, Lyés? You got to win it. You're not there to just participate. You're not there to just make up the numbers. So we'll start with Tuchel, Lyés, because I remember when Thomas Tuchel was appointed the manager earlier this year around January. I had you on my channel, within after 24 hours of it, or maybe after 48 hours.
Honestly, the next morning.
Yeah, and I remember you did a really good video on your channel on Thomas Tuchel and talking about his philosophy and his tactics. And I thought it'd be timely to talk about that. And you hyped him up well. You said that I think Chelsea is going to do really well. I mean, I want to start off by asking you, did you ever think it was going to be this well to the point we win the Champions League?
I mean, no, but also I didn't think Di Matteo would do so well when he came to Chelsea in 2012. So miracles happen, man. But I mean, like you said, I was very optimistic from a neutral point of view how Thomas Tuchel would do with Chelsea. And not only did I talk about his tactics, his philosophy, the way he sees and feels the game, the way he talks about the game, but I also talked about which players would fit in where with Chelsea. And I remember, you should probably remember this, the one guy I said had a huge role to play for Chelsea, and a lot of Chelsea fans didn't like the fact I said it, was Jorginho. Yeah. I said Jorginho in midfield would have a big part to play in this way Tuchel plays. Because I think under Lampard, it was a lot more physical, the way you guys were playing. It required many more athletes than the way Thomas Tuchel's side plays. A lot more ball retention is concentrated with Thomas Tuchel. And you've seen the likes of Jorginho is a different player. Rudiger in this back three, different player. And it seemed players that had no future at Chelsea anymore suddenly were given this new lease of life. I mean, even Marcos Alonso in the beginning of his tenure was playing and even scoring again. So, no, I never imagined Thomas Tuchel would do as well as he has. But I've always been a fan of Tuchel, especially since he left PSG. I did a lot of research on him in that period where he was out, because when he was at PSG, I watched him a lot at Dortmund. Super impressive. At PSG, a little less so. And I was trying to think, why didn't it work out at PSG? And I think through a mixture of not having the players he needed, not having the support he needed, maybe it didn't work out to the max. But at Chelsea, he's really made wine out of water. And that's the only way I can
Pretty much, man. I mean, he's done an absolute madness. You touched on the player Jorginho. Recently, Alex Goldberg. I'm pretty sure you know who Alex Goldberg
Yeah,
is.
of
One of
course.
your American countrymen out there. Absolute legend in the Chelsea
Yeah,
community.
good guy.
He interviewed Tony Mount straight after in the Champions League, and
really?
he was talking about. He was asking him about Mason Mount and Jorginho and whatnot, and Tony Mount, he apparently bumped into Jorginho's father in the airplane, in the airport on the way back, and Jorginho's father, being Brazilian background, obviously that doesn't speak much English, but he could understand what Tony Mount was trying to say. Your son plays with my son. I'm Mason's father, and then he was like, yeah, like that, champion.
That's funny.
And then he also then met Jorginho in the plane, and Jorginho was saying how much he appreciates Mason, and Mason similarly was saying that he's a big player for Chelsea. He's a top player for Chelsea. Appreciates him a lot. Do you feel he's so misunderstood, man? Like he's been tarnished a little bit of his quality under Frank Lampard, as you said. Frank's system needed athleticism, needed physicality. It was a different style of football.
Yeah, it was.
Whereas Thomas Tuchel, as you've probably seen, even in Dortmund, he known. I think it was you talked about Julian Weigl a long time ago. In PSG, there's Marco Verratti. Sort of similaristic players. I mean, do you feel he is misunderstood? And finally, hopefully now, whenever people do go at him, he can just show the Champions League trophy and go, man, I'm a European champion.
I think all of you guys can do that now, right? You guys have the ultimate trump card on Twitter. Anytime you're losing debate, just bring up some guy with a Champions League medal. That's all you have to do. But as for Jorginho, I feel like he's one of those players that kind of suffered because when he came originally to the Premier League, I think he was a little overrated in terms of like people were talking about this Jorginho role. The Premier League has never seen the likes of it. He's Sarri's linchpin, and the results he didn't translate to the Premier League automatically. And I think that's kind of normal, right? There's a lot of players that come to the Premier League and they aren't able to translate their game overnight. It's one of the most physically demanding leagues. You need to adapt your game. You're seeing that even with Hakim Ziyech, Donny van de Beek, like these are players that need to adapt to suit the physicality of the Premier League. Jorginho was definitely one of them. But as we know at Chelsea, it's a win now culture, right? There's no time to adapt. There's no time to really gel into the system. It's now or it's like, okay.
But it's sometimes win yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Not even now, like winner yesterday. You're on mute, by the way. We've lost you, bro.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good. Yeah.
My mic must have unplugged. But like I was saying with Jorginho, right? Like he is a good player. He's a very talented, very technically efficient player. At first, I was really expecting to see Jorginho and Kovacic, and that was the duo that obviously occupied Tuchel's starting 11 for most of the first few months. And then you have N'Golo Kante. I don't know how much time you want to talk about this guy, but what a brilliant player, and his class has shown. When so many people were calling him washed, so many people were saying that he doesn't offer what he used to. What a tremendous player. That's all I can really say about N'Golo.
Yeah, man. N'Golo Kante has been absolutely beast. He's been such an important player for us. It's not even funny. I mean, back-to-back man of the matches in the Champions League as well. I hope he has a tremendous Euros. That'll put him in good stead for the Ballon d'Or.
Absolutely.
Let's continue talking a little bit more about Thomas Tuchel. I mean, the way we kind of dismantled Pep Guardiola, Lyés, I mean, 3 times, 3-peat, back-to-back wins against Pep Guardiola. First one in the FA Cup semi-finals, then in the Premier League. And then, the build-up leading up to the final, the Man City fans were continuously saying, oh, but that was our B team and the C team that you guys had played previously. Wait till you get to the final and we're really going to show up and show you guys exactly what needs to happen. I mean, one, are you surprised that how I feel like Thomas Tuchel's living rent-free in Pep Guardiola's mind at the moment, because Pep's rattled. I think in the second game in the Premier League, he went with the 3 at the back. In the final, he went with no natural DM. Are you seeing that Pep is Pep overcooking things, or he's absolutely rattled by Thomas Tuchel at the moment?
I mean, I think there was some truth in City fans coming out and saying the first one in the FA Cup, it was a bit of a rotated team. I think they were coming right off the Champions League, and for me, I think they underestimated the competition. The second time, I think it was completely their second team. And to be honest, I was kind of with City fans. I was like, okay, maybe they're not like Aguero chipping a penalty before half. But this final, all right, both teams have everything to play for. If anything, City had more to play for. I came into this game, I'm doing a stream with Demi. I said, Chelsea have no pressure on their backs. They've qualified for the Champions League already. They're not the favorites for this. They're a young team. And I kind of likened it to the 2008 Champions League final when United had a really young team and you guys had a lot of experienced players. And for you, that was kind of like, okay, you have to win it with this group of players now or never. This Chelsea team is kind of like that United team where it's like the core of the group is still young. You guys have a great future with these players. With City, this is what Guardiola is here for. Like, right? This is what they brought him in for. All the pressure was on City. They've had this great season. They had the League One since February. This is what the league comes down to. And for me, if you ask me, I think this is a bit of a failure of a season for City based on how they lost the Champions League. But not only did Thomas Tuchel completely outclass Guardiola, I think the players themselves, I said at numerous times in the game, that was one of the best defensive performances in a Champions League final I've ever seen in my life. From not even just N'Golo Kante, from the entire team. Amazing.
So many last minute tackles, blocks, Rudiger.
I mean, you know me, right? I'm a massive Riyad Mahrez fan. Ben Chilwell put him in prison. I mean, you look at Sterling, Reece James put him in prison. Like De Bruyne and Foden couldn't get a sniff. It was an amazing defensive performance. And not only that, every Chelsea player basically left their heart on the line, right? Every player, you could not accuse one of them.
And you know what, Lyés? It's not like we parked the bus either.
No, definitely not. You had more chances, if anything. Chelsea had more chances to finish off the game than City. And you cannot say one of those Chelsea players, you couldn't accuse them of not trying hard enough, right? Every one of them left everything on the line out there. And I said it myself numerous times, like I'm in awe of this performance. If I was a Chelsea fan, and we're up 1-0 and we go on to lose 2-1, I can't even be disappointed because it was that brilliant of a performance, that spirited. And I feel like that's all you can really ask of your team in a final.
Yeah, man, 100, man. I mean, it's crazy. I want to see how this rivalry between Tuchel and Pep sort of continues next season because that's 3 losses in a row now for Pep Guardiola. And that's it starts playing mentally in your mind that, have I got the goods to just get over this guy? Because, I mean, previously Thomas Tuchel had teams like, I think it was Mainz and Dortmund against Bayern Munich. So, Pep always had the superior team. So it was always, I suppose he found it a bit easier to get across. But now with Chelsea, the level fields have sort of balanced up a little bit.
And they're only going to balance out even more, to be honest, after this summer. They're only going to balance out even more. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I know City's going to go out there and try and get a few new players, but so are we. Do you know what I mean? So it's only going to balance out. We're going to come back to the Chelsea situation. I want to touch on now about Man United. I mean, how do you look at your season, Lyés? In one stage, I sort of think, okay, you finished off the season strong. You had a pretty good middle of the season as well. You came second, ended up coming third. Second. You guys came second. And then you were looking good in the Europa Cup and you went to the final and you guys were straight up strong favorites to win that. Like when you look at the 2 teams, Villarreal and Man United, forget the paper. Even on the field, it just looks like 2 different teams. Do you know what I mean? Like, one is an absolute megastar of a team and the other one is just, a small team from Spain, right? I mean, talk to me because we haven't talked since that whole Europa League loss, which was a disaster, obviously. But how do you guys feel as a fan base, man?
I mean, Miz, personally, I told you numerous times this season. I said, for me, the only way I can classify this United season as any bit of a success, and that's me lowering standards to even say a success, because as a club, as United, winning the league and winning the Champions League, or at least contending for those competitions, that's success, right? Europa League for the old United is never success. Like the fact that we were in this competition, that's a failure in its own right. But I said, okay, based on where we are as a team, where we are in this development under Ole, I I would have considered success. And I said this around January and February when we were still in a title race. I said, if we can finish within 10 points of City and win either the FA Cup or the Europa League, then I will consider it a success for all league. And I can say, like, okay, this team did well this year based on like what my expectations were before the season and everything. I'm not 100% sure. I'm almost positive we didn't finish 10 points behind City. I think it was more than 10 points. I know at one point it looked like City were dropping points here and there. I'm pretty sure it was more than 10 points. So already that expectation out the line.
I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was pretty. Yeah, it was 12 points. You guys finished 12
at the end we drew because we lost like 3 or 4 games in a row at the end. So, but whatever. That's that we didn't achieve that goal. And then in the FA Cup, Leicester City, really good chance. In fact, we're tied 1-1 at half, and we find out the news that you guys drew City in the semifinal, and the winner of Leicester versus United would draw Southampton. So you'd have to think like, wow, that's a massive chance. This team has not won silverware. They're seemingly starving for it. Let's go all out this game. We go down 2-1 to Leicester, and what do? We bring on Matic, right? To win a game. We bring on Nemanja Matic. We lose to Leicester. We're left in the situation now. We're in the Europa League, a competition we did not even enter the season in. So how can you really gauge that as this massive success if winning a competition we were not even like, that wasn't part of our goals to start the season? How can it now be a success if we win it? Whatever. We're the best team in the competition, so you would expect that we do win it. Arsenal, seemingly our bogey team, goes out in the semifinals. Oh my God, even easier. And we come up against the 7th place team in Spain with Premier League rejects such as Alberto Moreno, Etienne Capoue, Francis Coquelin, just to name a few. Unai Emery at the helm. And we register 1 shot on target in 120 minutes and lose on penalties. There's no way anyone can call that a success of a season. For me, at max, it's a 5 out of 10 season. At max.
Yeah, man. Just quickly, some breaking news have been coming up, and I have to get to that. But yeah, Lyés, I will definitely come back to this. I just noticed in the live chat that Lukaku is not willing to leave Inter Milan, and I just saw the tweet from Fabrizio Romano saying Romelu Lukaku confirms he's not leaving this summer. I am staying at Inter. I've already had contact with new manager Inzaghi. Maybe I shouldn't say that yet. But it was very positive conversation. I feel good at Inter. Wow, that is huge news for us Chelsea fans, because we are looking for a striker, and if he's already closed the door, then that really leaves Haaland or Harry Kane. And
I'll tell you this right now for free, Miz. You are not getting Haaland this summer because Borussia Dortmund will not sell him in the same summer they're selling Jadon Sancho. And Spurs already, it's difficult enough for you guys to negotiate with Levy, obviously, because of North London connections. But with the news that Antonio Conte is coming in to take over Spurs, or at least that looks like it's going to happen, I would probably say Harry Kane stays another season at Spurs.
I think so, man. If Antonio Conte, if somehow Spurs are able to get Antonio Conte, which I think is going to be
it's looking likely.
It's going to be a big signing for them, because let's face it, Conte, wherever he goes, he wins. So he's a no-nonsense manager. He's going to just get them to play the way he wants them to play. He'll set up with the 3 at the back.
I think with Kane too, right? Like, he has 3 years left on his contract. Like, it's all good saying I want to leave, but he's not in really a position of power to force Levy's hand. 3 years on your contract left. You're 28 years old with a lot of injury problems. Like, I think only City can really afford him, and with the prices being rumored, I think he'll probably end up staying at Spurs. So this Lukaku news for Chelsea fans is massive.
Massive, man.
That's pretty big news.
100%, man. It's huge news. And the whole thing about Kane is, if he sees that Conte has been signed up as a manager, he may just say that, look, maybe we are serious again. And then, he stays on for another season to see what's going on. So it's going to be very difficult, because, as you said, Haaland's going to be tough as well. It's probably not happening.
I think Haaland stays another year.
Yeah, because surely they cannot lose Sancho and Haaland on the same season. That's just detrimental for them. But we will definitely most likely have another episode for this sometime later on tomorrow and whatnot. Let's continue back with this. With the whole Ole Gunnar Solskjær, as you said, you don't deem it as a successful season. I just can't believe the way you guys bottled it in the final against Villa. I mean, let's talk about both of these managers now. Let's contrast both Tuchel and Ole Gunnar Solskjær.
Yeah.
You have Thomas Tuchel, who's got so much experience, and he goes head on. He doesn't play negative football. He's defensively very solid, in the midfield very solid. Up front has been an issue for us, but that's because
I think it's in the personnel as well.
Exactly. It's not because of his philosophy. I think his philosophy has been creating a lot of opportunities. It's just the personnel not putting the goals away. And then you look at someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjær. I feel like I can't believe he didn't go at Villarreal. Like he gave so much respect to Villarreal, which is crazy. And in fact, Villarreal looked like the better team in the second half. Probably looked like the team that should have probably ended up getting the win. It ended up going to the penalties. But do you have any sort of hope on Ole Gunnar Solskjær moving next season or this whatever for the future, that this guy's actually going to start winning stuff for you guys? Like, can you see the growth, or I mean, do you think that your club's just having a laugh?
It's really, I think you know my answer. Like I think I've said it enough times on numerous media platforms, my real opinions on Ole, but it's a hard one to really say so straight on, because I hear the points that his biggest fans will make. The fact that he took over when we were 8th, 9th, cleared Deadwood, made a team now that looks like, bar miracle, they are going to be a top 4 contender. To be fair to him, this season, he didn't get any of his main targets. We didn't strengthen any of our starting positions, and we went from 3rd to 2nd, closing the gap on teams like City and Liverpool. I hear all of that. And I hear the people saying, listen, if he didn't get his players now and he keeps improving, imagine if he does get his players. Logically, that makes sense. But this team and this manager, in every single big moment they've had in the last 2.5 seasons since he took over, they have shown up for one big defining moment. And that was last season against Leicester City on the final day of the season, where they needed to draw to make the top 4. And that was against the Leicester City team depleted with injuries. Outside of that, every other time this team has had a must-win game, they faltered, and so has the manager. And with that being said, right, I understand people saying he can't beat City in finals or semifinals. He doesn't have the team. Okay. You do not need to splash 200, 300 million pounds to beat Villarreal. You do not need 200, 300 million pounds to beat Sevilla. You don't need it to beat Leicester in the cup. It gets to the point, right, where only so many excuses can be made. And I think I said this expression on your show before. You can buy all these fancy toys. You can buy Declan Rice. You can buy Sancho. You can buy Varane. You can buy all the nice furniture in the house. As long as the base of the house is rotten to the core as it is, the furniture can only disguise. It can only fool the guests for so long. Eventually, the house is going to come down. That's the only way I can put it. So I expect next season United to be in the top 4. I do expect that. I mean, barring we don't I expect that if we buy Sancho, if we buy Trippier, the players we are rumored to be bringing in, okay, I expect us to be in or around top 4. Maybe we'll be in the top 3, top 2 for some of the season, and then eventually falter at the end of the year. But as long as as long as Ole Gunnar Solskjær is manager of Manchester United, no, I cannot see us winning any major trophies. And we might win a Carabao Cup because City don't take it seriously next year, and his biggest fans might rub that in people's faces. But for me, the aim of the game as Manchester United manager should be getting us back to winning major trophies. And when I look at the likes of Antonio Conte going to Tottenham, Zinedine Zidane on the market, Thomas Tuchel just a few months ago available for weeks, and no team pulled the trigger except for Chelsea when. And Chelsea pulled it at the last second, right? They gave Lampard every single shot they could. Yeah. When I see all these great managers who have proven track records of winning major trophies for their teams, it is very disheartening to see a club and a fan base who is still buying into a process at one of the most richest, biggest, greatest clubs in the world. It's disheartening to see.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is the whole contrasting sort of point of view from both the managers. You got Thomas Tuchel, who comes in with so much experience in the highest level. He's been in the Champions League final last season. He got there this season, and this time he wins it. Got himself into the FA Cup final as well after beating Man City. Very, I suppose, I just didn't like the way we sort of played in that final against Leicester.
Yeah, very poor. Terrible performance.
And the whole, and once again, I've said it many times, I don't want to blame Kepa. I don't want to blame, a few other players. And I just feel like having not enough clarity this season as to who your number 1 goalkeeper is, which I think everyone knows it's Mendy, But because it's Kepa, we gave him the cup opportunity. Had it not been in that case, had we just kept on with our normal number one team with Mendy at the goalkeeping position, Chilwell and whatnot, because Alonso played in the final against Leicester, I think we would have seen a different performance. Do you know what I mean? Like
maybe. What I will say is that maybe that cup disappointment inspired you guys for the following week when you beat Leicester in the league, and arguably a much bigger game, right? In terms of like your aspirations. Chelsea's aspiration is to make the top four and play Champions League football, not to win an FA Cup. So who knows if you go on to make top four? Who knows if you go on to win the Champions League? I think everything happens for a reason, and fair play to Leicester. But I think you guys had so much hunger that following performance against Leicester in the league that I don't know if you would have had it if you had won in the cup.
Yeah. No, look, I completely understand once the match was finished what Thomas Tuchel was saying, that the club gave him the objective to ensure he gets top four, which obviously then we beat Leicester. But I'm pretty certain, Lyés, that Tuchel wanted that FA Cup. I know deep down he wanted it. He badly, even the post the FA Cup, he was kind of saying, no, it was always, the target was always top four, and he was trying to play it down. And there could have been also an element that the players were focused on the Champions League match as well, that they completely sort of forgot all these things in the middle. Let's now talk about next season and how these two managers are setting up. And you've already said that you can't see your manager Ole Gunnar Solskjær challenging for the league. I mean, what is it then? Like, I don't understand why Man United don't pull the trigger on this guy yet. What happened to the days when I was watching Rio Ferdinand's interview with Pep Guardiola just before the Champions League, and Pep said, how many Premier Leagues did you win? And Rio said 6. I was like, what happened to those days for Man United where they were just winning Premier League titles for fun? And that is what was expected. So what is it, Les? I mean, when was the last time you guys won the Premier League, by the way?
2013. 2012, 2013.
Oh my God,
we're approaching Arsenal territory, Miz.
You are. You really are. It's like been 8-9 years. So what's going on in Man United? What is the mindset?
I mean, I've said it numerous times, right? You look at the previous manager's history. You look at the patterns that occur. This is a club that is motivated by top four football. They are motivated by the transfer kitty that you do receive when you make the Champions League. They then go on to spend less money when they make it. They'll miss out on it, and then they'll spend more money to get back into it. With Solskjær now, though, you have a manager who seems to have stabilized the club and the team enough that, I mean, if we're being honest, I think they are a top four mainstay. I think they're going to make the top four, barring Liverpool-esque injuries. And I expect the same thing next season. However, there are major rumors and stories coming out that United are planning on spending big this summer. And I know that gets brought up every summer, but these are pretty big, pretty reliable leaks that are coming out saying United are targeting up to 4 or 5 players. Solskjær is adamant that he wants his targets
in. Is that what you need, Lyés? Do you need 4 or 5 players?
Well, no. For me, again, I agree. I think it's the manager. But if you're asking me when do they pull the plug on this guy, they don't pull it when they don't back him and he gets them top 4, because then that's what they want. If they are to back him, though, and they do buy him 4 players, 50 million, 60 million each, the expectations go up, right? Naturally. If they go and buy him Sancho, Varane, I don't know, a midfielder, and then Trippier, the expectation is not anymore to be top 4. They are going to be expecting silverware or a very hefty title challenge. And if that doesn't come, then they will pull the trigger, in my opinion. But as long as they keep, like this summer when we had Van de Beek, Telles, and Cavani, that's like a total of 40 million net spend. The expectation for them wasn't for Ole to go win the league. Therefore, when he comes second, that's in their eyes, oh, he's doing an amazing job. He's basically not putting any pressure on us. If they back him, then the expectations will go up.
Fair enough, man. By the way, what's the situation with Edison Cavani at the moment? I mean, he's staying for another season.
Yeah, he signed a 1-year extension.
Fair enough. So you guys are sorted in terms of the striker position. You're not really looking for a striker.
No.
But you are definitely in for Sancho, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, I think that's the final that'll end up happening as well. I mean, I know I said that last season, but I think Dortmund's stance on it is different. I think Jadon Sancho's stance on it is different. And I think I don't think they expected his value to kind of go down a bit. Whereas last year they were quoting up to 120 million euros. I think the total expected fee will be around 90 million euros this year. So it's kind of like Ed Woodward basically stumbled himself into looking like a genius.
I mean, seriously, when I look at your team, and I'm going to touch on Thomas Tuchel very soon and our prospect of challenging for the title. When I look at your team, Mason Greenwood, I was very, very impressed. I know a lot of people were saying he went missing, but in
He's
the first
brilliant.
half,
He's a brilliant
I
player.
thought he was probably your best player in the first half, and also some parts of the second half. I can't believe he was taken off, which was pretty crazy when you guys needed to win. Then you have Marcus Rashford, who's a fantastic player as well. Bruno Fernandes. I do want to talk about Bruno Fernandes, Lyés, because he is a bit of a
He's an
strange
enigma.
one for me. A bit of an enigma. You look at someone like Mason Mount, Lyés, right? And he showed up in the biggest stage with a big assist for Kai Havertz for the Champions League win. Let's all be honest. I think you've appreciated Mason as well for a very long time. You've appreciated it. Many opposition fans have appreciated Mason Mount, right? But to come out clutch like that with that ball for Kai Havertz, even albeit Kai was pointing to put him through in that space, but you still need to execute that pass and split open Diaz and John Stones, and then obviously that they'll go down in the history as one of the most sublime sort of assists, right? And then you look at someone like Bruno Fernandes, Lyés. Honestly, once again, I did not see the brother in the match at all. I honestly did not see him. He kind of went missing. At times, I felt like he didn't even want to. He wanted to hide. He didn't want to be that guy to be known as, oh, Bruno lost it for us. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't want to participate, because if you don't participate, then you can't be judged, right? Yeah. But the fact is, you're Man United's big player, and you did not even make that sort of impact. And I've seen him time and time out, Lyés, in the big games. Bruno Fernandes, like against the big 6 games, I don't see him coming up trumps. I mean, what do you think about this player, man? Honest opinion.
I have a theory on Bruno Fernandes. I'll let you in on it. It's not that I think Bruno Fernandes is like a choker or that he shrinks in big games. Like for me, Mesut Ozil was a player in the Premier League that at times would kind of disappear, right? A player with so much quality, but like in the big moments would kind of hide, or like he wouldn't provide the moments you knew he was capable of. With Bruno Fernandes, I think it's a little different. I think honestly, he's technically limited in the fact that he isn't a technically efficient player or a technically consistent player. And I say that because there are players like De Bruyne, for example, or Trent Alexander-Arnold, right? Players that they can play the same pass 10 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. And Bruno Fernandes is a player who's more of like a 7 out of 10 times or 6 out of 10 times. Oftentimes you see him lose the ball a lot of times, right? He will misplace a ton of passes, but his biggest strength for me is mental. It's that he doesn't like get discouraged when he misses a pass, so that he's relentless with it. And he'll keep playing that dangerous ball. He'll keep playing dangerous balls in behind, and eventually they'll come off. The problem is in big games, you get less and less time on the ball, meaning that you have less and less chances to play that dangerous ball. So there again, De Bruyne, if he gets 4 chances to play a perfect ball, might play it 2 or 3 times perfectly. Trent Alexander-Arnold, if he gets 4 chances to play a perfect ball in a big game, will play it 2 or 3 at times. Bruno Fernandes, again, is a technically inefficient player, technically inconsistent player. It may take him 8 times to get that perfect ball. So 4 isn't enough for him. So in that regard, that's probably why he doesn't create as many chances as the likes of De Bruyne, even Mount. Another thing is that Bruno Fernandes is not a great ball carrier. Mason Mount is very dynamic on the ball. Every time he wants to get on it, he wants to drive forward. He wants to take players on. Fernandes isn't that kind of player. He's not the kind of player who gets the ball, goes past 4 players like Grealish, like Foden. Like he doesn't have that burst, that dynamism. It's not his game. He is a creator. But again, he isn't consistent enough with his final ball, which is crazy for a player of his numbers. But also, I want to say the system that we play in relies so much on him that if in big games he is kind of targeted and marked, there isn't anyone that can really take the responsibility off of him. And again, like I said, he can't beat you in other ways. He's not going to come deep and play a ball 60 yards over the top. He's not a player who's going to go drift out wide, beat 3 players and shoot. His game is pretty straightforward. He's damn good at it, but he's not the total number 10. He's not that kind of player. That's honestly my take on it. I know people say, oh, he's a bottler. Like, I just don't think he's at that level. I honestly don't believe so.
I do want to throw a very, very dicey question for you. I want to see what your thoughts are, because it has come up in football Twitter. I don't know, football Twitter is a bit of a crazy ground place, and you don't always get the best conversation there. But Lyés, Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes? I mean, who do you look at? Who do you look at as one that has immense sort of ceiling. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I mean, ceiling. Bruno Fernandes is a grown man. All right, he's 26, I think. Mason Mount has a brilliant career ahead of him. So in that sense, Mason Mount, I mean, he has the whole world to look forward to. Bruno Fernandes, I think this is his peak. Right, this is as good as you're going to get from Fernandes, barring I mean, maybe he goes and scores 50 goals next season. But I'm still going to take Bruno. I think like over a season, his numbers don't lie. But in the big moments, Mason Mount has proven to be that player time and time again. So fair play to him.
And that's a big deal, isn't it, Lyés? Like the big 100%. moments, the clutch moments to come out big. And Mason has done it time and time out this season in the Champions League and in the Premier League. Champions League, Real Madrid second leg with a crucial second goal. Porto, FC Porto first
brilliant
leg.
Finish. Yeah, brilliant.
Unbelievable finish. And also in the Premier League against Liverpool, clutch finish. The one thing, by the way, just quickly, there's been a lot of goals that Bruno Fernandes scored through penalties, right? Like I think he's just under Harry Kane in the Premier League in terms of the number of goals scored.
I think Salah is second, and I think
Fernandes. Salah's second. But Bruno Fernandes does score a lot more penalties than just open sort of play goals, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, though, like his biggest, like for me, I never think of like Bruno as like I know people love to throw the Lampard Bruno Fernandes comparison because of like their goal scoring.
That's got to be ridiculous. You have to say that's
but for me,
ridiculous.
I don't really see Bruno Fernandes. Like when I think of him, I don't think of his goals. Like he scores penalties. If you take away his penalties, he's not a great. I mean, for a midfielder, he's a good goal scorer, but like he's not like a Lampard level goal scorer from midfield. For me, Bruno, like his best contributions come from his creative side. Like he creates chances for fun. But again, like I said, it's also because he's relentless with it. It's not because he's this. He doesn't have this brilliant weight of ball, for example, like Ozil or De Bruyne. Or he doesn't have this amazing creativity like Grealish, but he is just relentless with his passing. And like I think that's his biggest strength. He doesn't get discouraged losing the ball. He just wants to keep going. It's his mentality that's just top.
Exactly, man. Looking at Thomas Tuchel now, right, for next season. I personally think a lot of people have been saying, well, where do you go now? It's like Champions League's like the pinnacle. Like, how do you keep that? How do you make sure the players are hungry and whatnot? I mean, some of our players are so young. Kai Havertz, who scored the Champions League winning goal, he's 21. He's younger than Mason Mount. Do you know what I mean? Like, these guys are literally kids. They really are. 21, 22-year-old. Reece James as well, I think 21 years old. Callum Hudson-Odoi is 20. Even players like Timo Werner, they're like 24, 25. Do you know what I mean? They're not that old yet. But I think if we can add, and we've already touched on the Lukaku factor, I feel like goal scoring has been an issue for us. Just quickly, before we go into the other parts, are you surprised the goal scoring has been a bit of an issue under Thomas Tuchel? I mean, we do create opportunities, but we're just not clinical enough. I've not seen that sort of an issue for Thomas Tuchel in other clubs. Like obviously he had Aubameyang who was just banging in goals, and in PSG he had Mbappe and Neymar and even Cavani to an extent as well. Are you surprised that this has been a bit of an issue under Thomas Tuchel for us?
To be honest, no, because when I look at those other teams, I think they had like an X factor kind of player. And when I say that, I mean a player that you can get on the ball and just make things happen. And I mean, you have some brilliant players at Chelsea, no doubt about it, but I don't think there has been a player. If they are that good, they don't have the consistency. Like for me, I look at Pulisic, right? A player who can get on the ball and run at players and make things happen, but he's not consistent enough with it. He has games where he's just blatantly frustrating, right? And that's just maybe he's not at that level of player, because part of being an amazing player is also you do it week in, week out. But you had Dortmund, you had Ousmane Dembele, right? He was putting up crazy numbers and like crazy performances from that wing. Of course, Aubameyang is like a poacher. At PSG, he had Neymar, who he didn't really play as a winger or a striker. He played him as a real number 10. He was a chance creator for that team through dribbling, through passing. At Chelsea, I don't really see that profile of player. And I think you have players who can do some of it, like Ziyech. We'll see next year if we can get the real Hakim Ziyech. For me, I've always said I think he's a player who's not going to last at Chelsea. I know he's your guy, but I don't think personally he has a role in this Tuchel side, personally. But he is a brilliant passer on his day. Pulisic gives you that different level of dribbling, same as Hudson-Odoi. Mason Mount is an all-around good player. Havertz, for me, is tremendous. And then you have Werner, who I personally, when I made my Tuchel video, I said he may be able to replicate what Aubameyang did. Like that guy running in behind. Aubameyang used to have the least touches on the ball out of everyone on that Dortmund team, but he would score all the goals.
Yeah.
Werner, I'm not a fan of him. I'm going to be honest with you, Miz. I'm not a big fan of him, but I do think like his finishing the season has been obnoxiously bad. I don't think next year it's going to be as bad as it was.
Champions League final, Lyés. He missed 2 opportunities in the first 10, 15 minutes.
I'm going to be honest with you, Miz. I know I get a lot of stick from Chelsea fans whenever I go on Chelsea channels. I'm not a fan of him whatsoever, but I do have to respect that he does provide something in terms of running in behind. He's a very unselfish player. I just think technically and his decision-making is suspect, but that's a story for another day. I do think you need a different profile in there. And for me, like I look at a Jadon Sancho, that's what you guys miss on that Dortmund team. I think you guys are crying out for a Jadon Sancho. He's a boyhood Chelsea fan, but it looks like maybe United has just got there ahead of him. They've promised him the 7 jersey. They promised him massive wages. They promised him to be the main guy. Maybe that's what it is. But for me, that's the kind of player you guys are missing.
Yeah, man. Just on that, I suppose next season, I feel like we are very much going to be placed to challenge for the title. I mean, you have to. We've got the Champions League now. We have to challenge for the title, and I'm pretty sure the players are going to be all up for it. But I feel like we are missing few ingredients, and one of them is what you've just said. It's up front. Timo Werner. I completely understand why Thomas Tuchel uses him. I completely understand what he brings to the team. Movement, pace. He absolutely scares the opposition with that pace.
Goal that Havertz scored comes from Werner making an unselfish run to completely free up. Like Abraham is not doing that. Giroud is not doing that. So fair play to Werner. He does provide off-ball movement that frees up his teammates.
Exactly, and we've seen him time and time out do that kind of stuff for Chelsea. But I'm hoping, I'm literally praying that his finishing gets better. But I don't know how you can just flick of a finger and your finishing just starts becoming technically sound. Shooting becomes all better. Like all of these gradually has to get better. So I am a bit worried about that. So that's why I was looking to get a striker. And obviously the news today has come out that Lukaku seems to be staying. And I don't want any secondary striker either, Lyés. Like, you know I want a top
That's a
dog.
position you need a main guy in. Like I don't know if you remember the season, Mourinho's first year, right? When he had Torres, Ba, and Eto'o, and like they were all kind of rotating because none of them were really the main guy. And you guys ultimately your downfall was because you didn't have a real number 9. Next year, Diego Costa comes in. Next year, Costa comes in, bang, the league title.
We didn't have correct me if I'm wrong, and live chat, correct me if I'm wrong as well. Our strikers did not score more than 6 or 7 Premier League goals.
I wouldn't doubt it between those 3 guys. And Eto'o, 3 of them came against United. So there you go.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's insane. So that is one place that we definitely need upgrade next season to mount a challenge. Do you feel that is the missing link for us at the moment to really go up against Man City or Liverpool or whoever else is challenging? Or do you feel we have enough ingredients in terms of Kai Havertz maybe turning out to be a striker?
I love Havertz, man. I think Havertz is an absolute joy of a player. Like, I'm so happy he was the guy to score the Champions League winner because I think he's gotten so much like unnecessary stick. Like, if you love football and you understand football, you look at Kai Havertz. That's a player right there, man. He oozes talent. Oozes quality.
What about him circling around Ederson, man? Ederson's no mug of a keeper.
Havertz is. I always said he reminds me of Berbatov, just his nonchalant style. Brilliant technique. But I'm happy it was him. But no, I still don't think he's not a number 9 like that, right? He's a great player, but he's not a killer like that. You guys need a killer up front. But like, I agree 100%. You guys shouldn't go after some second choice guy. Like, if it's not Haaland, Lukaku, or Kane, you shouldn't just settle for someone. Maybe wait a year. But I think there's other positions in the team that I think you could also question. I don't know what Tuchel thinks in terms of formation, like whether 5 at the back was kind of like his thing this year, because that's what he had to do to get the best. I was
going to ask you, do you think he continues with that for mounting a challenge, for the Premier League? I mean, other teams will start understanding what he's doing, right? Like, football is all about evolution, but then again, why fix something when it's not broken? So what's your thoughts on that?
It's a tough one, really, because I mean, like, you're right. Why fix something that's not broken? This 5 at the back has worked perfectly. It's gotten the best out of players like Rudiger, who for me, I don't know if Rudiger is a 4 at the back defender anymore. Like, that 3 in the back really does suit him. Jorginho, I think, is also helped by that 3 in the back. But also, it's like a catch-22. Like, while that's also true, he had to play that formation to get the best out of those guys. So maybe he goes to 4 in the back. One guy I think you guys will end up signing, or at least you will compete with us for the signing of, is Rafa Varane. I think Varane will be on the market this summer. I don't think he's going to extend with Real. And I think United and Chelsea will battle it out for him. Now, if you get Varane and you can do Varane Silva or Varane Rudiger, why play 3 in the back? Play 4 in
By
the
the way,
back.
do you really rate Varane that highly?
No,
I feel like
I don't. To be
Militao.
honest with you, I don't. Honestly,
Militao for
Militao is
Real
class,
Madrid.
man. Oh my god,
Ooh.
amazing player.
I think him and Silva would just be
Yeah,
boss.
Militao is the real jewel of that Real Madrid team. Let me tell you that right now. But I don't think he's for sale. I think Varane is 1 year left on his contract. It doesn't look like he's going to extend. I think he's going to be on the move. And I personally don't think he's that good. I think he's a bit overrated at this stage in his career, but he has that big name. He has that experience. And he's the kind of player that owners like drool over, right? He's a
Do you reckon Varane's any better than the quality of CBs that we currently have? Christensen, don't forget the madness he did this season under Thomas Tuchel.
I really like fair play to Christensen, fair play to Rudiger, fair play to Azpilicueta, right? Like they earned their flowers. Like like you can't say much about them anymore. They showed that they're Champions League level defenders. But also, I really believe Tuchel is such a great manager that this system has basically made a lot of these players also a lot better than they are. For example, next season you go into a title. Like I think it's a bit like when Conte came in and people were talking about Alonso and Moses were these amazing wingbacks when they really weren't, right? They were Alonso and Moses were byproduct of this amazing system that Conte came up with.
Very true,
right? Very like they weren't amazing defenders.
Moses was never a wingback.
Right?
You know what I mean?
He came in, he was the best right wingback in the league. So that's not to say that Christensen and Rudiger are bums now or Azpilicueta, but I think you can upgrade on them. Whether Varane is that guy, maybe not. Maybe you have a point there, but I think there is improvement to be made in those positions.
Yeah, man. No, it's interesting, man. Moving back to the Man United, because I'll go back to the Chelsea thing. I know you've said categorically that under Ole Gunnar Solskjær, you don't expect to go far. But
here's the thing: I don't expect to win. I do not expect to win titles because I think at the end of the day, the quality that Tuchel and Pep provide, and Klopp, of course, will be too much. But I do expect us to challenge 100%. The expectation on Ole Gunnar Solskjær next year should be to challenge for the title. I fully believe that. Do
you feel the players you currently have, you know, if you were to create a Man United best 11 at the moment with the players you have, do you feel you have the ingredients to mix it up and challenge for the title?
Currently, no. They definitely need investment.
Where would you upgrade a little bit?
Honestly, in a number of positions. Right wing for sure. I think United hasn't had a real right winger in their ranks since Antonio Valencia, and even him for a while was playing right back. And when you look at the right hand side,
Greenwood? I think
he's not really a right winger, to be honest with you, Miz. All his best work comes really centrally, and like I think he is a natural striker that's kind of being played out wide because he has a left foot and he can provide natural width. But I think this United team, when you look at all the heat maps, you look at all the advanced analytics, everything comes from the left. And that's a problem, right? Okay, I get Shaw and Rashford have had seasons. That's why it comes from there. But balance is one of the most important things in football. And you need to have something coming from your right-hand side. Not only do you have a right back in Wan-Bissaka who provides almost absolutely nothing going forward, but the right-hand side, Greenwood is not this kind of...
By the way, another debate, Lyés.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do see this a lot, right? And I need to bring you up because God knows when I'm going to have you again.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka and Reece James, right?
It's not a competition. We don't even have to have this conversation. Reece James is light years ahead of Wan-Bissaka. We do not have to have this conversation.
There you go, my man.
Even when we did the combined 11, I told you Reece James, he's a shoo-in.
But you know what? I do have one little complaint about Reece James is I feel he has a lot more attacking prowess. It's just he doesn't seem to really go out there and express himself. He feels that I sometimes get the feeling he's worried that if he makes a mistake that he's going to be magnified and looked into deeply, especially the game against Man City, the Premier League one, where he annihilated Mendy. I think he was ordered. He was given the orders from Thomas Tuchel to go out there and attack him direct, and he absolutely obliterated Mendy. Wan-Bissaka, I barely see enough production from him. I think as a modern day right back, Lyés, you'll agree, you need production from the 100%. Fullbacks. Do you know what I mean? Because Liverpool has changed the game in that particular perspective where they've created a bar and you now have to reach there. So from that perspective, because I think from social media, there was a lot of people questioning how come Wan-Bissaka is not in the English squad, and obviously Reece James is. So you're not surprised one bit, yeah?
No. He's not an international level right back, 100% no. Like Southgate is not an idiot. Like, come on, there are 4 better right backs on the England team than Wan-Bissaka. Debatably more. Honestly, there are probably a few that got left out that are probably better than him.
Wow, man. Wow. There
I'm
you
not a
go,
fan.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is straight from a Man United fan. That's
To be fair,
no
I'm biased.
bias.
There are United fans that won't agree with me, but I'm not a fan. I try and say it as it is. I'm not impressed.
All right, so carry on. So it was right back.
Right winger is needed, and the one that's needed is Sancho, like 100%. He in that position is needed. And then for me, there's a few positions. You know me, man. Fred and McTominay, they're not my guys.
Oh,
Lightest.
man. How'd you feel when you saw Fred come on in that Europa League right at the end?
To be honest, Miz, this is a whole other topic, but I actually wanted them to start. I wanted them to start with Pogba on the left, Rashford on the right. So then we would have Greenwood coming off the bench to provide an option. If you notice, United had nothing on the bench once you start.
Yeah.
Pogba, Greenwood, Rashford, Cavani, Bruno.
Yeah, you played your card. Like you played your card.
Yeah, we played our cards and it didn't work. So for me, I actually wanted those two to start. But going forward, they need to be broken up. That partnership has proven time and time again it's not good enough to break down big teams. So for me, you need a real defensive midfielder. I think you need one guy who can do both of their roles. Declan Rice for me is the obvious one, but that price tag is ugly. Like
by the way, you guys are in for Declan Rice as well, because
I think everyone should be in for him. He's a tremendous defensive midfielder, good young English player, but that price is I can't justify that, to be honest. Yeah. 90 million is crazy money, man. But
do you reckon you guys can do some sweeteners with Lingard? Yeah. By the way, what's going on with the Lingard situation? Is he coming back, or could that be part of the deal?
Yeah, I hope so. They can have Lingard if they give us Rice plus, I don't know, 60 million. But defensive midfielder for sure. Then there's other positions. Right back for me, I think United are being heavily linked with Trippier right now, and that's not to say Trippier is the answer to all of United's problems. Definitely not. But I think he provides an alternative to Wan-Bissaka in certain games. Like Wan-Bissaka, to be fair to him, has his uses. Like every time he plays Man City, Raheem Sterling does not sniff a ball, right? There are games where Wan-Bissaka will completely lock you up. But that's against the big teams. We're kind of playing a more pragmatic defensive style. If we're playing a team that gives us the ball 90% of the time, for example, Villarreal made it their game plan to basically say, okay, we'll defend everyone super hard. The minute it goes out to Wan-Bissaka, we lay off him. Beat us if you want. Whatever. Like if you can beat us, fair enough. If you have Kieran Trippier in there, who has one of the best deliveries from fullback, that's automatically a different dimension you're being given. And for me, I think he needs to be brought in as depth, not only to give us a different option, but to also give Wan-Bissaka competition. Here's a fun stat for you, Miz. No outfield player has started more games this season in Europe than Wan-Bissaka.
Wow.
He's started the most games in Europe this year.
That's insane,
That's
man.
An amazing statistic. So for me, Trippier is needed for numerous reasons. And then also they're looking at center back. And I can't blame them. Bailly, you can't trust his fitness. Lindelof, you can't trust him, period. You've heard about Varane. You've heard about Pau Torres. I think another option next to Maguire is needed. Because to be honest, Miz, I've always been telling you, Maguire, I think it's a lot of stick that I think is unwarranted. I think he has had a really good season for United, in my opinion. And you saw once he left that United team through injury, we've been shambolic defensively. So for me, he is the mainstay in there. I think he's finally starting to convince people that he is a top center back. But I think he needs a better partner. I think Lindelof, for me, is a no-go.
Yeah, fair enough. Wow, man, that seems like quite a lot of different pieces that you guys need.
For me, 4 players, and I'm expecting to challenge. I don't think we'll ever win the league, but challenge 4 players, you get them.
By the way, what happens to Donny van der Beek, man? I mean, is he part of the plan at all? Like,
he's not part of my plans. That's all I know.
Man, so that's it. Like, you guys have given up on this guy. Like,
I mean, I personally have. I've said for a while now. Like, I just think his style of play, his profile, like it doesn't fit the way Aldi wants to play. So unless he dramatically changes his game or we dramatically change our game, I don't see how he can fight for a first team place. Especially the amount of game. Bruno is one of the most. What's the word for it? Like he doesn't drop games. He doesn't not play. Bruno plays every single game. Like.
This is the thing, Lyés. This is the thing. Who is making the decisions? Sometimes we've had this issue in Chelsea as well, where managers playing a particular style and then they give him a player which just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, to be honest, to be fair to Ole, I don't think he bought Van de Beek. I don't think that was his guy. Like you heard rumors last year throughout. He wants Maddison. He wants Grealish. He wants I don't know, but those were his kinds of players. Van de Beek is not an Ole Gunnar Solskjær player whatsoever. I think personally. We have a good relationship with Van der Sar, who is a director of football over at Ajax. I think he did us a favor. He saw a good player, 40 million, go take him. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that is interesting, man, because it's not like Van der Beek is a bad player, man. I've seen what he's done in Ajax, man, and especially against Chelsea. last season. Van der Beek played some amazing matches against us as well. So interesting. So come back to Chelsea now. I feel like striking position is a huge one for us. I'm assuming, Lyés, if we do stick with the three at the back, because let's be honest, it's not broken yet. So why fix it? And the kind of rumors that I'm hearing, like Hakimi is one that I'm hearing as well, Achraf Hakimi, which kind of makes me think, well, he's a classic wing back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's a proper right wing back. So it kind of makes me think that Thomas Tuchel's still thinking about the three at the back and just upgrading in the wing back position. Because
what if you guys were to do this, Miz? Reece James at right center back, Hakimi at right wing back.
Well, that I think that is the future, right? Yeah. We saw snippets of it this season where Reece James started playing in the right center back position. Here's the thing, Lyés, though. I think this season, predominantly, Reece James was playing in the right wing back. And Lyés, when a player plays in a particular position, the sequence of passing is a bit different to right wing back and different to right center back. Do you know what I mean? Yep. In the right center back, you're heavily involved in the build-up, and your passing sequences are different to when you're in the right wing back, because you get the ball right at the corner. Do you know what I mean? And you only have the options of couple of passes. Whereas in the right center back, you do need to scan around, and sometimes you need to go diagonal, long, and whatnot. And maybe that's why we didn't see the best of Reece James in the right center back position. I think defensively he was good. But if next season, Lyés, because I've always questioned, as great as Azpilicueta has been, and I'm so glad he finally got the Champions League, but his time is slowly coming to an end. And I think next season we are going to see a bit of a rotational sort of purpose for him, where he plays the off game here and there. I don't think he has the legs to be a right wing back. We saw Azpilicueta play right wing back a couple of times this season. He's not a right wing back. And right centre back, he's brilliant. But we do need to evolve. We do need to move on. So, Lyés, you're right, man. Reece James, right centre back, Achraf Hakimi, right wing back, and that right side just electrifies. Do you know what I mean? It just, because we are not getting all the production that we desire from that right side. You look at the City game against Sterling, we were very conservative. We wanted to stay back. So, for me, it's striker, Lyés. One, because we need someone who's going to bring in 20-plus goals. If we do continue three at the back, then I do probably need maybe a wing back. We've been linked with Adama Traore as well. By the way, what's your thoughts on Adama Traore?
That's a good shot. Listen, I've always been a fan of Adama Traore. Like, since he was at Middlesbrough, like, I was a fan of this guy just because I look at him and he has all the physical tools, and he's a very technically good player. Problem with Adama Traore is his decision making is very, very suspect. Like, he's the most frustratingly brilliant player in the Premier League. Like, he has games where he will dribble 8 players and score a goal, but then he's also games where he just gives it up time and time again. But at right wing back, that's an interesting proposition. He's a tremendous athlete. He has good technical ability. He's a great defender.
Has the work rate. He can go up and down.
Hakimi is a specialist there. Hakimi is a specialist in that right wing back position. But Adama is an X factor I'd be interested in seeing at a big club.
Yeah, now fair point. And the other one that we're looking for is something a bit different in midfield. Obviously, this season when Kante was injured, also Kovacic was injured, we lacked a little bit of know-how in the middle, and that's where Declan Rice sort of rumors are coming in. So all in all, Lyés, I'll be happy if we can just get a striker, because I feel like all the other stuff we can sort of manage. You give us a 20-plus goal striker, I'm telling you, I think we're going to topple Liverpool, Man City, Man United, whoever else, and we win that. So we're just probably one mega player off, and right now Lukaku seems like he's not going anywhere. Haaland is very, very suspect if he's going to happen or not. And
Werner season 2.
Yeah, so it looks like we're gonna have to stick it out maybe for one more season. But Lyés, if we do end up keeping our main players now and don't lose anyone and don't really buy anyone as well, because it's Declan Rice. Let's face it, you said, Lyés, that that price tag is crazy.
Yeah.
Although Roman Abramovich has said, Lyés, that he's gonna pump in money. He's going to back.
I wouldn't be surprised if you go buy him. Like, honestly, I would not be surprised if you get him this summer. Like, Abramovich is going to spend money this summer. Tuchel has shown that he deserves a big budget, and Abramovich has shown that he's willing to give it, especially after winning the Champions League. I think you guys are going to spend big.
Yeah, and the kind of money that we've won as well, Champions League, obviously in the Premier League, you get funds from there to come top four, FA Cup finals also. It's not like we're going to be down on money. But for a hypothetical purpose, if we were to just keep our main team and not introduce anyone new, do you still think the Chelsea current team is good enough to mount a challenge for the Premier League title?
I think mount for sure. Like no pun intended. I think you guys can mount a Premier League title challenge. Like you've shown since Tuchel came in, you have one of the best records in the league, but you will not win it with this current team. I think whatever the results have happened between Tuchel and Guardiola has shown that he is the best domestic league manager of the last decade.
In the long run, 38 games.
Man, you can't beat the guy. Like he is like he's lost 2 title races since he became a manager.
That's insane,
against Jose Mourinho. No, he lost 3. Jose Mourinho at Barcelona with those great Real Madrid teams. He lost it his first season at City when obviously he was his team. Yeah. And then he lost it to Liverpool, who literally were like an all-time great team. Those are 3 title races he's lost in his career. So already
by the way, he lost to Liverpool by, I think, 1 point, wasn't it?
No,
sorry. He won by 1 point. Last season.
The other one was last season where it was kind of like Liverpool were amazing. So he's lost 3 title races, and he's shown like to beat this guy over 38 games, you have to be special. So you have him, and then you have Klopp in Liverpool, who for me are going to be right back up there.
They're going to be back.
They're already announced the signing of Konate, who I think for me is amazing defender. If you can keep him,
he's 1 injury away to be shelved.
Yeah, but here's the thing: now you have Gomez, you have Van Dijk, you have Matip, and you have Konate.
True.
What are the odds? All 4 of them are out at the same time. You have to
again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be terrible luck. But I think Liverpool are going to be right back in the fold. They're even looking at Rafinha from Leeds.
I saw your tweet. I don't know why more clubs are not after Rafinha.
He's a good player.
He smokes.
Is he not a typical Klopp attacker too? Like you just know he's gonna bang under Klopp.
Bro, by the way, apparently Liverpool are very much in Sancho as well, and he fits their whole Salah, Sancho, Mane sort of situation.
For me, the thing with Liverpool that they've said numerous times, to afford a player of Sancho or Mbappe's quality or his price tag, which is 80, 90 million plus, they have to sell one of their main 3. That's what all the reports are saying. And it doesn't look like they are going to be offloading Salah, Mane, or Firmino. So for me, like a Rafinha at 40, 50 million pounds is like their budget. I don't think I personally believe Sancho will be a United player by next season.
No.
But yeah, for me, Liverpool and City, those are the teams you have to beat. And I think with this current Chelsea team without improvement, I think those 2 teams are still ahead of you guys over 38 games.
If we want to move into the final statement here very soon, Lyés.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you were a player, right? Say you're Sancho or you're one of the big. Let's be honest, we're the European champions, Lyés. Put some respect on that. We are European champions.
I'm giving you all the respect you need. Don't worry about that.
We are not going to chase players. Players be chasing us. Do you know what I mean? You better be wanting to play for us. In all honesty, though, Lyés, if you're one of the top players at the moment. I mean, is Man United a particular place that is it attractive? Do you feel there's titles to be won there, or do you feel Chelsea is the place to be right now?
I think Chelsea has the edge for numerous amounts of reasons. I think Chelsea, the Champions League, for me, like you remember Eden Hazard, that tweet, "I'm joining the Champions League winners."
Yeah, baby.
Winning the Champions League, that's so many players' dreams, and like to see a club that's done it recently, that's huge. You have the London factor. Every player is going to choose London over Manchester. Don't get it twisted. And I think it's the fact that it's a really young team. I mean, not that United isn't a young team. They're building something as well. But Chelsea also have that youth factor where players want to be part of that group that's going to last a decade.
Yeah.
So in that regard, Chelsea is very attractive. United, I think, is a bit different. Like for me personally, I think the reason Sancho will end up joining United is because of the allure. The history. I think the fact that he's going to be given that 7 shirt, the fact that we've been chasing him for almost 3 years now, the fact that a lot of his England teammates and close friends are in that group, Rashford especially. And I think that the prospect, not just because like you can say Ole versus Tuchel, but I think players are not looking at it like immediately. They're looking at it through a 5-year contract. The prospect of bringing United back to the top of the English game is something that no player so far has really turned down, and we've been shit for a long time. So like, it isn't a thing that like players are like, oh, United aren't good anymore, so I don't want to join them. The prospect of bringing United back to the glory days is something that a lot of players value, and Pogba valued it, Memphis valued it, Alexis valued it, Jadon Sancho will value it too. I think Chelsea has the edge in terms of allure, right? Again, you are European champions. You cannot say that enough times. But I wouldn't count out
Well,
United.
we got the 2 stars. We got, by the way, you guys won 3 times.
Up, man. You're one behind us.
Yeah, that's right, baby. But yeah, man, no, you're right. At the end of the day, let's be honest, Chelsea managers, they don't last too long. So
true.
you're
That's
right.
another thing, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a contract. Players sign a 5-year contract, and you don't know where things are going to be at. But hopefully, Thomas Tuchel is that particular manager that is going to be here in Chelsea for a long time. We've got a lot of young players that could become monsters under him, and we could. There's been talks about dynasty, Chelsea dynasty. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't get out with Lampard. It might be this guy.
Do you know what I mean? Like Liverpool were talking about the dynasty, and I don't want to take the mockery. And we saw what happened to them this season. So, I'll hold the dynasty talks for a second now because things can change, right? But to wrap things up, my man, I personally think. But by the way, I do want to get another answer from you. What would it take for you guys to get rid of Ole? Like, what would it be? Because I don't understand how he's still there. Look, personally, I don't care. Like, you guys can keep Ole as long as you want because it just makes you guys very mediocre. But I do sort of look back the rivalry days, back in those days, the Alex Ferguson days. Do you know what I mean? Like, Man United, Chelsea had mega rivalries. Do you know what I mean? What would it take from your perspective because it seems like Ole Gunnar Solskjær is, very much going to keep the job. He's, your owners are happy. But what would it actually take for him to get sacked? What is it that you need for him to get sacked?
I'm telling you right now, the only way he gets sacked is if United backs him heavy in the window, which I think will happen, and he fails. And when I say failure, he comes fourth or misses out on top 4. For me, if he finishes 15, 20 points behind first and second again next season, after they buy him big players, I think they're going to run out of patience, to be honest with you, because it's all good not winning anything when the board doesn't invest because, you match expectations. If they buy big players for him, the expectations are going to go through the roof. And then I think he will truly be tested by the Glazers and Woodward's patience, 100%.
Yeah, fair point, man. Yeah, man, look, I completely feel we should be in the mix of challenging for the title. Thomas Tuchel will be absolutely gunning it. I'll be very surprised if you guys finish above us next season.
Let's see. That's 2 seasons in a row right now, bro.
I know. Last season, mind you, with the transfer ban, it was on same points. I believe it was same points. Do you know what I mean? So, you guys weren't too far ahead or anything like that. But this season, it was a bit of a shambles for us in the beginning, and then it was a bit of a patch-up job from Conte. From Tuchel. But next season, I'll be very surprised if you go in front of us, man. I have to say, we have to be in front of you guys. But Lyés, thank you so much for your time, man. It's always a pleasure. We had nearly 80 people at one stage. Please smash the like button, number one. If you've enjoyed this conversation, the contrasting worlds of Man United, Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel, Ole Gunnar Solskjær, smash the like button. Secondly, if you're here for the first time, subscribe. And most importantly, check out Lyés's YouTube channel, link in description right now. Literally, it's glowing in blue. Click on that name and it will take you to his YouTube channel. And I'm telling you, you will not see this level of content from not many out there create this level of content. His archive has produced some amazing stuff. Recently, he's done a Chelsea one as well, guys. Go check that out with the saga that we had with in Champions League when we got robbed that 1 year where against Barcelona. I believe, what was it, 2008. Sorry, 2008. 2009. That's it. Didier Drogba, the Iniesta goal right at the end, man. That particular referee. So do check out that archive. There's also a Ronaldo one, Cristiano Ronaldo one. There's
a Mahrez one coming too, Miz. I held off on it, but it will be coming out.
I was gonna say, what can we expect from your channel, my man?
The Riyad Mahrez, the story of Riyad Mahrez will be coming out on Friday. I was hoping I could release it with a bit of a different ending. I was hoping he could lift the Champions League and kind of sum up this perfect story since he came into the fold, but Ben Chilwell had to ruin his story. But it's going to go out anyways. I worked really hard on it. I think it's some of my best work to date, so I think you guys will definitely enjoy it. And most importantly, a lot of content on the European Championship coming out starting this week, right? The Euros are next week, and I fully intend to cover it in full detail. So if you guys are interested in any of that, make sure you come subscribe to A Whole Lot of Mid.
And you know what, Les, I have to say this because we've got quite a lot of people joined in here. Les, I miss your post-match, the 10 minutes, the 7 minutes. I know sometimes you kind of stop that and you were focusing on the archive and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if there was ever a request from myself, who's a massive fan of your work, that's how I got into your channel last season. Do you remember? You had that Frank Lampard speech. And I was like, I need to bring him on. So I miss that kind of stuff, man. Do you know what I mean?
I will definitely be coming back for the Euros. I will be doing it for like match reviews for like those games. I kind of stopped for United because for me, like, I get really annoyed watching United, and like I definitely get like way too biased when I speak about them, and then like I end up saying stuff I regret. I end up saying like it ruins my experience as a fan. But to be honest, match reviews for like the European Championship games, France versus Portugal, France versus Germany, we'll get you guys some stuff for that as well. So definitely tune in. Big month for the channel coming up.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. You've heard it. Hope you all have enjoyed it. Once again, smash the like button. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. And yeah, until next time, everyone, see ya.
Peace.